Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the series. Let's talk about it. Today episode we're going to be talking about toxic parents and the dominant effect it has on the children when they become adults and the way they interact and build relationship with other people. We're going to dive deep in trauma and just, mental abuse and physical abuse and emotional abuse that adults like to put onto the child without really realizing what they're doing and the effect that it has on the kid. And just like different things that our parents did that kind of mold us and shape the way we think and the way we kind of interact with other people as adults. And, just she's not an adult, but
A young adult
all right.
or a teenager.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much. I'm your host today, Anna Bindi, and this is our guest.
Bindi, Kennedy.
You guys probably recognize her from episode 1, where we talked about racism and just all of the subcategories within that. If you guys want to check that out, you can always go back and watch that episode. But without further ado, we're just going to dive right into it. Yeah, I'm just sipping my tea. Okay. So we're gonna first start about like what was it like growing up? Like what were our parents like when we was growing up? You can start talking now, just piggyback off of you.
So growing up, our whole family in general was just like really toxic. So like our parents, I didn't. Well, I had a dad, but he wasn't really in the picture, and so it was just me and my mom and my siblings. You already know that. So everything was just like it was just like harder for everybody. And as a girl, you always need your dad in your life, and you always see like, well, I always seen like everybody always having like these cute little father moments, and I just always felt left out of it. And growing up, my mom was actually very sweet. Like, she's a very kind person, but sometimes her kindness is, to an extent, is very like expanded. Like, I don't know how to explain it. She's just a very nice person, and people tend to take advantage of her kindness. So me as a kid, I got disciplined by mainly our siblings, and they always try to play like the parent role or whatever in my life. So because my mom was so nice, I didn't get disciplined much from her. I got disciplined more from my siblings, older siblings. Yeah.
Well, for me, we're half sisters, even though we don't. It's really who says half sisters when you're talking about their sister.
Right.
But if you want to get technical, we're half sisters. You have the same mom, but not the same dad. So basically, we are just sisters because we came from the same womb. But growing up, I didn't live with my mom, my birth mom, and I never met my birth dad ever. But my parents that I did grow up with, they're African parents, so there was a lot of structure in the home, but also it was kind of chaotic in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
They were very stern, like to a point where it kind of felt suffocating as a child growing up, because when you're raised in an African home, you don't really have room to really express yourself or really to like
Yeah.
think outside of the box without looking like an outsider or without feeling like you're different or not going to be accepted within the home. My parents were really strict, like really strict. I literally had to go to school and then come right home. I wasn't allowed to go over to friends' house. I wasn't allowed to go to parties. I wasn't allowed to have friends over. Like I didn't really get to experience what it was like to really be a kid, a teenager specifically. Because of how strict my parents were. And not only were they strict, but they also kind of didn't really know how to express emotion, you
They
know?
didn't.
Yeah, like my mom, to be truthful, I don't think she ever really told me that she loved me. you know. I mean, obviously she showed it within her actions, but I never got that verbal confirmation, you know, that I was loved, you know. I was never told I was beautiful. I was never really like, there weren't like conversations where we talked about me and really uplift me and really get to know me. Because growing up in an African home, your parents don't really take the time to get to know you.
And
And
communication is very
yeah,
off.
the communication is
Like
very,
communication is
very, very
off.
off. Like I remember I told my mom once, "You don't know me," and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, you don't know me. You don't know my favorite color. You don't know my favorite food. You don't know what I like, what I don't like. You don't know what I'm interested in. You don't know me. We don't have that communication where we can just sit down and really talk to each other about things, because you never built that communication for me where I felt comfortable enough to sit down with you and talk about my problems and talk about things that I felt without feeling kind of like you were going to judge me, because there was just always so much
Uh-huh.
judgment with everything, you know."
Yep. The foundation, like from the start up, it was always rocky. So it was just like now, like me, because now I'm experiencing the point where like I feel like shy or I scare away from telling my parents, my family anything. And it's just because like you just feel like you're gonna be judged. You feel like they're gonna like think less of you, or they expect you to live a certain lifestyle like the same way they did, or to not make mistakes how they did. So they want you to be like this perfect image, this perfect girl. What for me, and so it just made me feel like I just couldn't. I had to be like that. I had to get straight A's. I had to be a good student. I had to have a minimum amount of friends. I couldn't go out, didn't hang out with friends. And even now, if I want to hang out with friends, I have to like either beg or say I'm going to the park or the store. Exposed. But
But
it's so true.
mm, yeah.
It's a lie.
Mm.
And uh,
Yeah. And
I'm
it
sorry.
sucks too, because like growing up, like all my friends were always inviting me places, and like I just couldn't come. I couldn't really experience that with my friends in that moment. I didn't. My parents just didn't allow me, you know. They didn't allow me enough room for me to grow and to really experience things and become the person that I truly want to be. Like I didn't feel comfortable really being myself around my family, you know. Like I don't, even to this day, I can't sit down with anybody in my family besides like the people that are closer to my generation, obviously. But like the older generation and the parents and the grandparents and the uncles and aunties, I can't really sit down with them and have deep, honest conversations with them, because they just don't listen. They don't hear it, you know. It's like for them, they're just so stuck in the way, in their own ways, and
Mm-hmm.
how they were raised and how things were in their time, that like anything that's not that is just seen as wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I can't really fault my parents too much, because you know this was how they were raised. Like this is their norm. So now coming to America and this being this big world where people are so expressive and people are doing all these crazy things, and it's just so vast and so big, and it's like they feel like they just, it's scary, you know, and they don't really know how to like communicate, because they weren't taught how to communicate. They don't
Yes.
really know how to show love in a verbal way, because they weren't taught that, you know. Like it was hard when they was growing up. Things were really, really hard. So they have more of a tougher interior than we do. Like I feel like, because we're like more like expressive and vocal, and like we're different, because of, I feel like because of the generation that we're in,
Yeah.
the time that we're in, also because of the environment that we're in, because we are in America, you know, and they were raised in Africa and at a different time where things were harder for them. So I wouldn't say
Yeah.
my parents are toxic, but they have done things that are toxic, and you know they're not
Yeah.
perfect, and they need help their own self. You know, they have so much past trauma that they need to deal with before they can really raise somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I feel like that's like something that we now are trying to break out of. We're trying to break out of that system where we all grow up with this toxic background, this traumatizing background, and like bring it onto our kids and then make the same mistakes over and over and over. And this has been going on for generations beyond generations. And
Yeah.
I feel like now for us, this generation now, we're trying to break out of that and like fix our trauma,
Yeah.
go through it, and get help, the help that we need to be able to step forward and build a new platform for our kids and for future people in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree. Like 100%. Like honestly, like I'm just thinking now back to Pacific times where um I needed like emotional support from my parents, and they just weren't able to give that to me. And I feel like raising a child is more than just, bathing them and feeding them and putting a roof over their head. There's so much more that needs to go into it. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of African parents don't really know how to do that extra bit. Like they don't really know how to be there for their kid emotionally. They don't know how to like really talk to
And
them or communicate with them. It's fine. Just pretend he's not there. Just pretend he's not there.
I'm gonna let him do it.
But yeah.
Like,
Um, so so now that we kind of talked a bit about like what was like growing up with our parents and adult figures in our lives, like how like right now in this moment, like what kind of things do you feel like how do you feel like that affected us like in the now, you know like just like the way we kind of maneuver through life and stuff.
so I feel like it affects me a lot because now I feel like I have trouble communicating with some people. I have trouble finding the right way to talk to people now because we didn't talk as a family. We didn't sit down and talk. We tried to, but things never worked out. Like no matter how hard we tried, it just wouldn't work out because everybody was still, like you said, everybody was still stuck in their own mindset. And so this has affected me a lot more than I even realized. Like if you was to ask me like 2 years ago, I would be like, I'm fine, nothing wrong. But now I'm like, I really realized that I have trouble talking to people. Um, and my mom, she's not affectionate. She doesn't show affection towards people. And I it's the way how she is and the way how she grew up. But for me, I like I like to feel like, I guess because seeing her like that made me want to feel affection more. I craved it more from seeing her not, even though she did love me and she told me that she loved me and she showed affection, but affection in other ways. You know, like she showed affection through how she nurtured me, took care of me, but I feel like there was other ways that I wanted affection,
Like
and now I crave it more than ever.
right. Honestly, for me, I will also say it's like communication. Like I really don't know how to express my emotions to other people. Like I'm still working on that, like how to like really express my emotions and kind of just like really like speak on my own truth, because like, growing
Mm-hmm.
up, like you will, whenever you try to express yourself or say anything, you always tell, oh my God, like shut up, stop. Like no one wants to hear what you have to say, really. And if they do hear it, they kind of belittle what you're feeling because you're a kid. And there's no way you can have feelings. There's no way you can feel something when you're a kid. You just have to just suck it up. So
Mm-hmm.
now I have problems communicating my feelings, and whenever like I'm angry, I kind of find myself shutting down because
Mm-hmm.
that's just how I kind of learn to deal with emotion. And also, there was something else I wanted to say, but I totally slipped my mind,
It'll come back.
and I can't think of it.
But because of like you said, when you was talking about communication, it brought me back to when I was younger. I couldn't like I never talked to people. Like my voice was, I always felt so little. You remember?
Oh, I remember.
my, my voice always felt so little, and I didn't have like, I literally, whenever I was around people, I couldn't stand up for myself. Even like in the last video was talking about how there was like this kid that was using racial slurs around me, and I just like I felt like I couldn't say nothing. I felt like my voice was so little and I couldn't speak on it because that's how we were raised. We couldn't speak on certain situations because we didn't want to hurt nobody. We didn't want to offend people. We didn't want to start arguments. And you just knew like those things would happen if you were to say something.
Yeah. Because anything you say, oh, you're being rude, oh, you think you're big now, oh, you know, the adults are right, you're wrong, and all that stuff. But also to piggyback on what you said earlier, affection. For me, I feel like I don't really know how to show affection. Like even when people are being affectionate towards me, like even though I like it and I enjoy it, it still makes me a bit uncomfortable because it's not something that I'm used to. I'm not used to people being so affectionate with me. So it's like I don't really know how to show it. I don't know how to express it. And whenever I get it back, I don't really know how to like take it in, you know? And I've been learning how to not be so uncomfortable because that's not something that was normal for me, you know, growing up. So now as an adult, I'm trying to like tell myself like this is normal, like this is okay, this is a good feeling, this is good, you know. So it's hard, but it's like it's a learning progress. It's a learning progress. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's what.
And oh shoot, I was gonna. Never mind. I don't know what's going on.
We keep forgetting.
What was that? I literally was just here like 2 seconds ago.
Maybe by talking, remember? Because when he was talking, that's what I remember. But yeah, I feel like the way I was raised definitely had an impact on the way I kind of like function now, the way I maneuver through life, the way I kind of like interact with people, the way that I kind of like show my emotion. Because I'm someone who like when I'm upset, I won't really tell you I'm upset, but I'm kind of like passive aggressive, you know, when I'm upset. And I'm learning like not to do that, not to just shut down, not to like be so passive aggressive, but just be honest and just, you know, validate my feelings because no one ever validated my feelings. So now I have to learn how to do that by myself, you know, and tell myself, this is how you feel and this is okay. This is not wrong. You need to deal with it and not just try to push it under the rug because your feelings are valid. So I've been learning how to do that, and this really has helped me kind of just become more expressive within my emotion. It helped me have become more emotionally mature. I feel like I'm really emotionally mature now, but like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I wasn't, you know, because like I was just kind of like just low key following the same cycle of my parents without really realizing it. But until I really had to sit back with myself and really check myself and really be like, okay, like you can't keep doing this because that's toxic and it's unhealthy. And it's not like you shouldn't do that. So sometimes you just need to just kind of reflect on what you're doing and the reason why you're doing it. Because I didn't know that this was because of my upbringing. I didn't know that me not being able to express myself was because my parents never allowed me the room to express myself until I kind of sat back and I was like, oh shit, like this is trauma. Like this is the result of trauma that I'm like now having to deal with as an adult.
Yeah. And like even for me, the same thing, like if something's bothering me or if I'm not okay with something, I always feel like I couldn't say anything about it. I couldn't talk on the situation and I just let certain things slide because like I don't want to offend nobody. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. And that's also something like I think that's a trait I get from my mom. She's very like always worried about other people, always trying to help other people, always don't want to hurt other people's feelings.
Yeah, I got that for her too.
Yeah, and like she literally would get step thought and will like, you know, feel look over for the other person to make sure they're okay. And that's something that I like really always was like worried about other people instead of myself, not even realizing that I was literally hurting myself to make other people feel better.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm still like, even to this day, still trying to work on, trying to be like worried about myself more than, well, even though I love worrying about people, but I need to learn how to worry about myself too,
Like
and put myself into the equation
yeah.
instead of taking myself out and worry about other people while I'm hurting. Yeah.
I feel you.
And like the whole communication thing is just not working. Like no matter how hard we try, and like you said, I tend to shut down too also. Like whenever somebody and I was to get into like a difference of opinion, get into an argument, I would walk away, be upset, not even like just avoid the whole situation, avoid the people, the person. And then later on, like that was like a support system for me where I'll go on my phone wherever there's like a situation that I feel like I can't speak on it. I always go and start texting about it. Like I would text that person and tell them, "Oh, this is bothering me," but I wouldn't say it to their face.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't even realize that that was actually something wrong with me. But someone pointed out to me, they were like, why is it that I know you, like, I know you're upset right now, but like, I know you don't, like, please don't go home and then text me about it later on when we could just talk
That's
about
so
this.
crazy. Like, you know why that's so crazy? I'm so sorry. But that also leads up to our next topic, which is like how does it affect like relationships and stuff. That's so crazy because I'm just like you. I do the same thing. And to the point where my boyfriend now was like, he was like, we're gonna talk about this right here, right now, because I know you. You're literally gonna go home and text me that you're mad, and that, like, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna talk about it in person and communicate right now. And it's like, I didn't know I was doing that. I didn't know how frequently I did that until someone pointed that out to me.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel you on that. But yeah.
It usually takes like for me it usually takes like 3 times them asking like, are you sure it's okay, are you okay, like, are you okay, and it takes me like 3 times before I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm not okay.
And it's like, and I also see how like even like the way that the way that ooh, sorry the way that I was brought up, the way that it affected my relationship with other people, I see it because I see that, especially like when I had this little fling thing, kind of like friends with, BF, BNF, whatever. But the guy, and he was so wrong. Like everything about him was so wrong, and I knew he was so wrong. But because I craved affection so much, and because I'm just someone who keeps giving people a million second chances, even when I know they don't deserve it, because I feel like you said, I had to put his feelings above mine because at that time I didn't value my feelings. I kept going and kept going to this person, and I kept seeing them, and I kept just doing these things, even though I knew deep inside myself that this wasn't really what I wanted to do. But I felt stuck, like watching my parents, interact with each other and just seeing a little bit, like, I'm not even gonna lie, kind of unhealthy. Their dynamic, their relationship dynamic. That for me felt normal. That was normal. Mm-hmm. So I kind of gravitated to a similar destruction because that was what I knew as love. That's what I knew as togetherness, as a relationship. That's what I thought a couple is, there's always arguments and fighting, and like I didn't really see the love that much in a relationship, that I didn't even realize what it felt like to truly like be loved until obviously I met my boyfriend, that I'm with now, it was like
Period.
so amazing. It's like so amazing. But I kept going back to the same person because that was normal, you know? And not until I was like, what the frick? Like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is not what I want to do. Like, I want to find a genuine connection with someone. I want to be loved properly. This isn't love. This is not what love is, you know? This is toxic. This is unhealthy. This is not what I want for myself. I can't keep running these same circles because that's all I know. Like I have to like really look outside of myself and figure out like what I need from myself. Not what I'm familiar with, but what I need.
Yep. And speaking of like how you always went back to the same person no matter what, like going back on like something that recently happened that I recently figured out that growing up we were always taught that woman wants love. Woman needs love to live, needs the love and nothing more. Men needs respect. So we always seen that we felt like we needed this no matter, it don't matter, like the little tiny piece of affection or love that we got, we hung on to it so much, no matter how much crap we get put through, we always hung on to it because that's what we're taught to stay with this person because you want that love. And yes, it's a love that's like you don't get from your parents, but it's unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And even with our parents relationships with our family members, you just see that it's like unhealthy. No matter how much crap they always go through and how much they do this to you, they could stab you in the back and the next second you know you're like forgiving them because you were taught that this is love, this is what it means to be a family. And like growing up now I'm like
like I don't want to deal with that.
These people are not my family.
For real. Honestly, and that also plays into like friendships that I've had. I have so many friendships where I was used, basically. I was used. I was underappreciated. I wasn't important. I was in first place. And I still hung onto those friendships. Even the friends who were just trash, basically trash. I kept giving them second chances and third chances and fourth chances. I kept leaving the door open for them to come back. And they kept proving to me why they didn't deserve to come back. But I wasn't listening. I wasn't looking because I thought that was okay, you know? I thought it was okay that, friends sometimes they, things don't happen, sometimes within friendship there are fights and they stab you in the back or they do fucked up shit or they ignore you or they treat you like shit, but it's okay because you love that person and they're your friend. So no matter what they do to you, you just always got to be their friend because that's what I was taught. That's what I was seeing. Like growing up as a kid, that's all I saw were people within unhealthy relationship, toxic relationship. Parents teaching me that like as a woman, my place, and stuff like that. So I thought it was normal. Like my friend literally ghosted me. We try to reconcile. Things didn't really work out. We tried again, and then she kind of just ghosted me again. I left more room for her to come back. She ghosted me again, and I decided, you know what? I'm not going to keep going through this cycle. It's unhealthy. Somebody has to break it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm tired. I'm so tired chasing after people who don't put that same energy back into me, Like I want to put myself first. The same way you was talking about, putting yourself in the equation. Like I want to put myself in the equation. Like I want to do things that make me happy, things that are genuine to me. I want to be around people who celebrate me, who appreciate me, who loves me as much as I love them. Not just people who are going to use me and throw me away because, I'm just so nice and I'm so forgiving. Like I'm still a forgiving person, but I'm forgiving to a point, I have boundaries now. I like my parents, they never like there was no boundaries. Like now I have put in boundaries for myself that I'm not going back on.
Yep. That's like, actually, I completely get what you're talking about. Like, that's like one thing about me. Like, even with that, like, my past relationships, you were the one that was just telling me, like, this is not it. This is not love. Like, this is over. Like, you need to stay away. And I just couldn't. I felt like I was trapped. Like, I had to stay because this is what I needed. Until I finally realized that I'm tired of being treated like this.
Right.
But also, I want to talk about, because we're talking about how our parents affected our relationships, right? So because I didn't have like a dad. My father wasn't, he was around, but he wasn't around. He was always drunk, or I don't know, he was on something. So it was just so bad. And from that, it just gave me abandonment issues. And it made me feel like everybody in my life was gonna leave.
Yeah.
So, and as a point, I felt alone for a long time in my life. No matter how many people were still here, I felt alone because I felt like nobody was really truly there for me. And these people, and so I also have commitment issues just because of that. Now every time, like, when anybody that's a close friend of mine starts calling themselves, like, giving titles to themselves, like calling them my best friends, or like, I can't. I shut down from that person, don't talk to them for a long time, like completely cut them off. And it's not like their fault. It's me. It's like I just can't find my way. I don't know why. It just like shuts me down. Like if I hear anything that has to do with commitment now, it just makes me feel like I need to stay away a little bit. And it wasn't like, I feel like it wasn't like that until a past relationship. And that, I guess that triggered it and made me not want to be with, or to have friends that are like best friends or close friends, or this, like, these titles are like not even, as soon as the title starts, I'm out.
Right.
And I have lost a lot of friends, like a lot. I could sit here and list all of them, and I would run out of fingers. And I always like blame myself. I was like, "This is me. This is me. This is me." But I feel like maybe it was. At some point, I try to blame them, but then I'm like, it's a cycle that keeps happening. It keeps happening. Everybody that comes in my life eventually either leaves or doesn't stay around for too long, or they stay around, but they're not around, like they're not there for me when I need them, and they're not like a real friend to me, and they're just like associate now. So that's why I just wanted to talk about that, because it just really started, like, had a real toll on me.
I actually understand what you're saying because for me, I don't have commitment issues, but I have detachment issues. Like I find myself within relationship feeling kind of detached from from the people that I love emotionally. You know, it's like I know this gonna sound really shitty, but even like relationship like with you or with Keyshawn, even with Jordan for a little bit, like I just like I love you and I of course I miss you, but I just never felt that feeling of that feeling. Like it was just I just kind of like if I didn't see you, it was like okay, like I'll be okay. It's whatever. If I didn't see Kishan, okay, I don't really care. It's whatever. Like like I didn't really have the feeling of like missing people, of like really like I just felt kind of detached from people emotionally for like a long while. But I feel like obviously like now I don't feel that way anymore. Like I kind of like work through that, like figure out the root of it and why I felt that way. And the reason why I felt so detached from people, because my experience with the people in my life was like people are going to disappoint you at some point. You know,
Yeah.
that's just what I thought. People are gonna disappoint you at some point, you know. So there's no point in expecting anything from anyone, or you know, really pouring yourself into anyone when it's just going to disappoint you one way or another. So that's why I kind of like detach myself from people at such a young age emotionally. But I feel like now I'm like working on like not doing that anymore, because like the people that I have in my space in my life right now are the people that I love the most and I care about the most. So I don't, I don't, even if they hurt me, like I'm not going to like hate them or anything, you know, because like these are the people that I love and I care about. So I'm learning to like be more attached and like just like be more like 100% with my love and my energy to the people in my life that 100% deserves it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like the hardest thing for me to like even stay in a friendship. It's not even the fact that they did anything wrong to me. At like some point, like even no matter how close I am to somebody, as soon as they start like, you know, being invested in me in a way, like they communicate with me, they talk to me, they're like they ask me like it just makes me feel like they're gonna leave.
Right.
That's where my mind goes anytime like anybody gets close to me, like they're gonna leave, they're all gonna leave, they're all gonna leave. Like I had multiple points in my life where a whole lot of people, not just one, like 3 people or like 2 people at a time, just like leave my life. Or there's some type of drama, some type of situation that happens that makes them not make us not be friends no more. And it just like all all connects to me feeling like they're gonna leave.
Right.
Yeah. Like
And
even at a point,
oh,
sorry.
sorry, you go ahead.
Even at a point like my mom left me. She
Mm-hmm.
left. Everybody left. No matter like even though I left you,
Mm-hmm.
I still felt like you left me, even though that wasn't the case at all.
Right. I mean, in the sense, I kind of did left you because, like, when you move, I think there was a period of time where we didn't really talk, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel you with the whole leaving thing. Like, I never met my dad, my birth. Wow. I never met my biological dad. My mom wasn't there for me, not really at all. You know, my sisters, my birth sisters, I don't really know. I don't really know them. You know, I only person that I felt really close to was really like you and Maurice and like Sam and like all the other kids around my age. But like the adults in my life, they all kind of just low key left.
Yeah. I feel
Um,
like you didn't really count. But
but also, just moving on to the next part of this is like how did like the way we were raised kind of like affect our mental health? But I could say a lot.
oh my gosh. Like I said, it made me like I said, because of my abandonment issues, leaving issues, it really did mess up my mental health because I felt alone for so long. I felt like I had nobody in my life. I couldn't speak to nobody. I couldn't talk to anybody. And also, like, our parents, you know, they're very judgy. Everything about you, they're judgy. They're the quickest to start calling you. If you start gaining weight, they call you out on it. You start losing weight, they call you out on it. And they literally will call you out on everything. And they won't always have your back.
Right.
So that caused a lot of insecurities for me.
Yeah.
Like, like even now I feel like, oh, I have to wear like a big t-shirts because my arms are too big, because they point these things out to you. They'd be like, oh, you look at you, you're growing, your stomach's growing, you're getting big, you're getting fat or whatever. And they like even compare me to you, because I think you had a point where like you was really like you was working out every day.
Yeah.
And that's when you really lost a whole lot of weight. And that's when it was like, oh, look at you, look at you, look at Anna. Anna got her body, look at her body looking nice. And then you here, you gaining weight. And that just made me feel so terrible as a person. I hated literally, I hated myself. I went through points where I felt so depressed. I couldn't eat. I didn't want to eat anymore. I went through phases where I felt like just not even being alive anymore because I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because of how insecure I was about myself.
Right.
And even though to them, it's normal. They're gonna call you out. They think it's joking. They think that it's not that serious.
Yeah.
But it is to us as children. Like the little thing, these things really mess up and take a big toll on our brains. And they don't even realize what they're doing because that's how they were brought up.
Right.
Like they were always picked on. And they always say that like they don't you think y'all have it bad. We used to have it worse. They used to call us this. And that's what I always thought, like, if that's how if that's what they did to you, why are you trying to do it to us?
Right.
Why are you trying to bring me down instead of encouraging me to lose weight or encourage me to gain weight instead of bringing me down, making me feel insecure, even if you're joking?
Right.
Yeah.
And also what I would say about like mental health and like self-esteem, like growing up, I noticed that my parents always pointed out when you messed up. Like whenever there was any messed up that you did, it was always pointed out, it was always exaggerated, and it was always kind of like thrown in your face. But when
Mm-hmm.
you did something good, there was never, you didn't get that energy. There was never any celebration.
Never
They
appreciate
never, right?
nothing.
They never congratulate you. They never, uplift you. Like they spend so much time breaking us down and telling us what we're doing wrong and what we could do better. But they didn't invest enough energy in uplifting us, growing up. There was never any praises. There was never any, oh, I'm so proud of you for finishing this. I'm so proud of you for doing that. It was me. Like there was praises here and there, but it was mainly just nitpicking and trying to figure out what you're doing wrong and what you can do better and this and that. And for me, I've been depressed since I was 13 years old. 13. I'm 22 years old right now. I can't even do the math for you. That's like 9 years, right? 9 years. I'm about to be 23 in like 2 months.
Yeah.
I've been depressed since I was 13. 13. I was bullied by by everybody, basically. That's what it felt like. I was told that I was a whore, I was a slut, I was a this and I was a that, all because I was hanging out with my friends. That's what normal kids do.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Or they assume your sexuality because you don't have, sorry for interrupting you,
no,
but
it's okay.
yeah, they assume your sexuality because you're not dating anybody. That's something that I just remember that they always did.
So, well, for me, there was no there was no such thing as dating. If I was dating, I was a hoe. That's literally what it was. If I was even next to a guy, even if that guy was just a friend or someone I didn't even know who was just asking me a question, oh, she's a hoe, she's this, she's that. And that was the energy that I was getting from people that was supposed to protect me, people that was supposed to uplift me. But yet they were bringing me down. They were calling me all those things. When in reality, I was none of those things. I was a kid. I was a freaking kid,
Uh-huh.
you know? Like imagine being a child and constantly feeling belittled and unappreciated and unwanted and just feeling like a burden, because that's literally what I felt like growing up, like a burden, like something that was thrown on somebody and now they have to take care of this child even though it's not their child and they don't really know if they want to, but they just have to do it. I felt like a burden. I felt out of place. I felt like an outcast my whole life. I felt like I didn't really belong anywhere. I didn't belong there. I didn't belong, with you guys because I didn't really know you guys, to be honest. I just felt like I had no place, and that really messed with my mental health, like, and it really messed with my self-esteem, because for a long, 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 the first person who ever told me I was beautiful was a stranger, a random woman that I didn't even know was the first person to be like, "Oh, you're such a beautiful girl," and you don't understand how happy I felt. I literally hold on to that for weeks because that was the only sense of encouragement I was ever going to get for a long time. You know, I had very, very low self esteem because I was never told I was good enough growing up. I was never praised when I did good. You know, it was just nothing was ever good enough when I was a kid, you know? So I have very low self-esteem. Like I'm always hard on myself. I'm always saying myself I'm so worthless. I'm always saying, oh my God, like you're just so lazy and worthless and you just don't know how to do better. And I'm always feeling like whenever anything bad happened, oh, I deserve it. Because that's what I was basically taught. That I low-key just didn't deserve anything good because I was a bad person, you know? That's how I was made to feel, you know?
Yeah.
My self-esteem is like it's bad, but I'm working on it. Like even my boyfriend tells me I'm beautiful all the time, and I just don't believe him. I mean, I'm just like, okay, I just can't
You
take
are
it.
so.
I can't take the compliment because I don't feel it because it's not something that I'm used to. And also my mental health is like messed up. I just have so much trauma and just so much things that are wrong with me. I'm always like, remember, depression is like the worst thing ever that I've been working on. Therapy and trying to figure out on my own and just find different ways to cope with it. And out of my 9 years of being depressed, about 3 weeks ago was the first time in my whole entire life that I ever felt happy, genuinely happy with being by myself, being
Yeah.
in my own presence, just being like alone. That was the first time in my whole life that I was ever genuinely happy. And that's so sad, you know? That's sad. I'm 22 years old, and this is the first time where I'm genuinely happy with being by myself because I just used to be so disgusted with myself and my own company. And it's just, I don't know, it's just so many things that my parents said and did and didn't do that kind of just had a domino effect, a ripple effect. And now it's just it's just so much. I'm trying not to get like I'm
I
like
know.
all over the place, but like it's a lot, as a kid, like you just feel like the whole world is against you. Everyone who's supposed to love you, you don't know if they love you because you just feel like everyone is coming at you from all different angles, and people are telling their kids, oh, they can't hang out with you because, oh, you're a bad kid, you're going to be a bad influence on them, or you can't, oh, you're this and that, when in reality you're just a scared little kid who just wants to be loved.
Yeah.
And no one can see that. All the adults around you can't just open their eyes and see that you're hurting, that you're going through pain.
That's really the saddest part about it. Like when I was at my lowest in my life. Oh, sorry. Mm, okay.
I don't know, some makeup.
It's okay, girl. Let it out if you need to.
Okay, I'm fine. But go. I'm sorry.
Mm.
Go.
If you need a moment, you take a moment.
Okay, I'm fine. You go.
Um, I lost track of what I was saying, but yes, when I was at my lowest moments in my life, when I hated myself the most, nobody batted an eye to make sure I was okay. Nobody really cared. The only person that really asked me if I was okay was Bill, which like him out of everybody.
Um,
And the fact that um you could tell when somebody knows that something's going on with you,
Mm-hmm.
but they just don't know how to express it. Like my mom, she when at some point she knew that like something was upsetting me, something was bothering me. And she didn't know how to express it. She didn't know how to like ask if I was okay. She didn't know how to comfort me. So she just comes in, sits in the room, and just like talk to me, like talk about the randomest things, try to spend time with me. But she knows there's something like going on, but she don't want to say, she can't, she physically cannot comfort me. And that's something that happened that I had to go through, that I'm still working on. When someone's upset around me, I freeze. I literally don't know what to say.
Neither.
I just be silent. Like just now, for example, I I I literally I keep saying literally.
It makes you uncomfortable. It makes me
I
uncomfortable.
I feel like I can't say anything. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Like someone was crying because of how, well, I don't want to say because what happened, but they were upset about something that was really personal with them. And this person was physically with me. And I'm just like frozen, trying like uncomfortably rubbing their back. Just it's gonna be it's okay. Like just like it's okay. And I'm just like I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I'm just like silent on the phone. Just or like silent in person or silent on the phone. Because this happened multiple occasions. And I feel like that's probably because I never felt comfort whenever I was upset. So I didn't know how to comfort others,
Mm-hmm.
especially on like serious, deep
Yeah.
conversation. And even I'm like the type of person to feel uncomfortable so much that I would start like laughing
Yeah.
in a serious environment.
I'm just so uncomfortable.
And people just think I'm like something's wrong with me or like I'm like really think this is funny, but I really don't know what to do. So I just like laugh.
Yeah.
And that is something that we have to break out of, and that's something I think I need to go to therapy for, because like that's a real issue where I don't know how to comfort people. I don't know how to be there for people. Well, I could be there for people, but I don't know how to do it the right way. Sometimes like it depends on the situation, but a majority of the time I just like freeze, which is so terrible.
I'm literally the same. Like I do the same thing too. Like I just feel so uncomfortable. It just makes me like I don't know what to like. I want to be there for them, but I just don't know what to say.
And I'm like I just like it's okay. I feel like I don't know, I feel so awkward.
Yeah.
Like some people are like I see some people being so easy at comforting people. People know how to be there for people and like always like, oh yeah, it's okay, I got you. Like,
I'm
and
very
they say the right things. And I feel like I'm gonna say the wrong things.
right.
Like every time I try to even open my mouth to speak to somebody when they're upset,
But
nothing.
honestly, I've been learning that just say to these people, just when someone's upset about something, you just say what you will want to hear if you were in that situation, you know? Like, just, let them know that you're there for them and that you love them and you appreciate them and that you care. And I've been learning like how to comfort people, I keep going back to being in a relationship, but being in a relationship with someone, it's like you're forced to learn these things in order for a relationship to work. You're forced to learn how to comfort your partner or comfort people in general. You're forced to learn how to communicate. You're forced to learn how to express your emotions and your feelings in healthy ways. So like I really have been learning how to comfort people and to be there for them. And sometimes you don't even need to say anything. Sometimes you just need to just be there and just be present and just allow them your space to grieve or whatever the issue may be. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I'm gonna have to work on because
You got
I
time
really hate it. I hate
to get to it. But moving on to the last thing that we're going to be touching on today, which is obviously the most important thing, I think, is now that we are adults and young adults, um, almost adults, almost young.
2 more years.
Um, how are we going to break out of this cycle for our when we create our own family and moving forward, even for ourselves as adults, you know? How are we going to break out of these cycles?
Honestly, I feel like oh my gosh, the best thing to do is I'm popular. I I feel like the best thing to do is like try to, make a welcoming environment. I feel like the best thing for your kids is an environment. Because now that I know how it feels like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to bring that upon anybody else. I don't want to bring my troubles upon anybody else. I want, sorry, I don't want my trauma to be reflected onto other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best way to go about is first learn how to discipline your kids the right way. Because growing up, disciplining was terrible. I still remember this one day we were getting disciplined and you had came to visit us, but we was in trouble. Like literally I had to pee. There was like, no, you can't pee. So I peed on
Yes, the discipline was literally exercise. I'm telling you, sometimes you have to squat with like textbooks in your hand and hold that position for hours.
like
Hours.
literally we had to
Let me show you guys right now our position that we have. Like this, right? Squat like this
oh yeah, the wall sit. That's what they do in football. That's actually football training.
for hours.
And also,
Punishment.
we had to do this thing called pumping tacos.
Oh, yes. You have to do this. You wonder why we're so strong? Because that was a punishment for freaking exercise that we had to do for hours. That was a punishment.
We had to do it for hours and upon hours. And I remember this one day, like we couldn't take it no more. Like, and especially I didn't get punished by my mom. I didn't get punished by my parents. I got punished by my siblings. So, so I remember you had came over and then like they told you to leave because you was here to come and see us. And it was like, no, they're under punishment. And that's when we saw opportunity. We literally had to grab our shoes from the door, run out, and we lived in a building. So running, we step in all these pee, and then we're just getting chased. And like,
I remember this.
I still remember it. And me and Bill was talking about it the other day. It was so crazy. Like it was like I felt like this was so bad. Like now that I'm thinking about it, this was so toxic. Like wow. The fact that your kids had to feel like they had to run away from you because they couldn't take the punishment.
Okay, I remember it now. I remember. Yeah, literally. Was I there?
You came to see us, and then I don't know if you and Bill was plotting or whatever. And y'all was ready. Y'all was like,
we probably were. No one knows.
And then you was like at the bottom of the staircase, and that's when me and Bill we grabbed our shoes quickly and ran like.
Yeah, y'all got too much of a yucky bag, right?
Duh. But at least we got a few hours off. But like I need to like. I'm not a parent yet, but I know that I want to have like a good disciplining system. I don't want my kids to feel like they had to run away from me because they can't take the pain anymore. I don't want my kids to feel like. Also, I want my kids to feel like they are able to talk to me, to come and talk to me, and that's something I still have to learn how to make people feel comfortable enough to talk to me. Because I don't want to be judgy. I don't want to handle certain situations in a negative way where it affects my kids and makes them feel like they don't want to joke around with me anymore.
Right.
Or makes them feel like I'm gonna say something to them or they're gonna get in trouble if they were to say a certain joke or whatever. And so communication, discipline, and just like creating a welcoming place for my kids or my family, my future relationships. or whatnot. Because also, I feel like with kids too, I feel like it has a lot to do with your relationship with your spouse or your husband, or well, that's the same thing. Your spouse or your boyfriend or whoever you're with. I feel like that has, or your girlfriend. I feel like that has a lot to do with stuff. It has a lot to do with how your kids
Right.
look on and what your kids learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like they always say, whatever you learn from home is what you take out with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to teach my kids that not to be afraid to show love, not be afraid to show affection. I want to show my kids what real love looks like. I want to show my kids what real passion looks like. I don't want my kids to feel like, oh, this is a relationship. Okay, I'm gonna take it and do the same thing, and then find themselves in a even worse situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the best thing for me is to get some help.
Yeah.
Like, I know some people think that's funny to say, but I feel like I need to get some help for myself to learn how to not feel the way how I feel today. Like can't how I feel like I need to be with somebody. And even though I could say it that, oh, I don't need to be with somebody to be loved, or if this person treat me like trash, I could still stay with them, you know? So I need to learn how to not be like that anymore. And I need to learn how to not, like earlier we said, how to not be so much caring about others more than we care about ourselves, or
Right.
loving others. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, I feel like those are like the main things about building a good environment for your kids.
I agree with everything you just said. Those are all really important things. But like I was saying about, like working on yourself, because like when you have kids, you want to be at least some kind of emotionally and mentally stable and ready to have
Mhm.
kids, because if you are emotionally kind of immature or emotionally unavailable, I don't think you should have kids, because kids need that. They need emotional support. They need you to be affectionate. They need you to show them love, because kids are impressionable, and you just need you. That's it's healthy. It's healthy, number one. So I think for me, I've been going to therapy. I've been also, working with like my boyfriend. We've been working through certain like um things that we talked about throughout this whole conversation, like my attachment issues, which I think I'm not like that anymore. Communication issues, which I've been working on, I've gotten really really better at it. My emotional issues, I am more emotionally mature. I think I'm very emotionally mature now than I was like 2 3 years ago. So once you work on yourself and you try to unlearn these behaviors that you do, and most of the things that we do is subconscious. Like we don't really realize what we're doing until we've done it, or until, like we said, other people pointed out for us. So I think it's important to really like be within the place where you know that you're going to be able to give your time and your energy into raising a child who's going to need all of that. So as
Mhm.
a mother, I want to be the mom that I always wanted growing up. I want to make sure my kids, like you said, feel loved, feel supported, feel like important, feel like they have purpose. I want them to feel like they have a foundation that's there whenever they need it. They have someone who's always going to be there when they need a helping hand, when they need support, when they need advice. I want them to feel comfortable talking to me. I want us to have a good communication. I don't want there to be secrets and lies. Oh, I want them to make them feel like if they tell me something, oh, they're gonna get punished, or this and this and that. Like obviously, it's important to have discipline and structure within the family home, but it's how you discipline your child. Like you were saying, it's so important how you discipline your child. Like you can't be making them do these. You can't be disciplining your child for every little thing. Like kids are gonna mess up. Not everything deserves such heavy punishment. I used to get
Yep.
punished just for talking back, like heavy punishment. Like you need to do. understand that kids have emotions, that they have feelings, that they're human being, you know, they're going to react to certain things. The way you react to the way they react is very important. You can't always discipline them for every little thing, you know. There has to be certain different levels of discipline, you know. And it's not always got to resort to beating your child. You know, I didn't really get beat that much, to be honest. Like, but I did get the belt sometimes. I don't know where that came from. But I didn't really get it a lot, you know. I didn't really get it, like, a lot.
I got it.
It was like more. I used to get it when I was younger, but then once I got into high school, my mom knew better. Cause I'm just kidding. I've never.
I haven't had it in years, since like probably 6th grade,
Right.
probably like when I was 10, 11. But other than that, New York days, it was
yeah. But yeah. So you just have to. I wanna also. What I think is really important is I want to always let my kids know that I love them, that they are loved. I want them to look at me and see, and just see how much I love them. I want them to take the best qualities of me and use it within their life. I don't want them to be toxic. I don't want them to have my toxic trait. That's why I'm working on them, you know, because I want to show them stability. I want to show them love. I want to show them compassion. I want to show them emotion. I want to show them hard work. I want to be a good role model for my kids, you know?
Yep.
So yeah. I would like to break this. These are all generational curses that people talk about. I want to break out of this toxic cycle where you feel like your kids don't have a voice because they're a kid. No, that's wrong. Kids are human beings. They have emotions. They feel things. They understand things. They're not idiots. They're not stupid. People like to think that kids are so dumb and don't understand anything. Yes, they do. They understand. They see things, and they take those things within themselves and they spit it out. And then you get mad at them for cursing when you're cursing in front of your kid. You get mad at them for saying something when they heard you say it 3 different times, and then you punish them instead of just talking to them and letting them know, hey, this is wrong. You shouldn't say this, and next time you should say this instead. Instead of teaching them or correcting them, you decide to just punish them, and then think that's okay, and that's not gonna have an effect on them later on in their lives, you know? So I think it's important to know how to punish your kids and how to discipline your kids, and not just resort to beating your kids, okay?
Right.
I'm tired of that damn belt. I'm tired of picking my own stick. I don't want to pick the whip today.
Which one you want?
Which belt you want? I don't want none of them. Okay. Keep it.
Right. Period.
This one love.
And also, y'all, this video is not to hate on, to be this ungrateful for our parents, because we love our parents. We love all of them.
I love our parents.
And they love us back.
Yeah.
They have given us food, a roof, and we're not saying that's not enough. We're just saying
there's more to that, you know?
Yeah, there's more. We're just talking about parenthood and how there's more to just beating kids, or more to just feeling like you're right or being above.
Right, you know. And this was just to show the effect of, or how parents who feel like all they need to do is feed you and clothe you and that's enough. No, there's more to it, you know. The emotional, when the parent lacks emotional support, that has an effect on the kid as a whole. So that's where we're
Bless you.
Obviously now I would say my parents have gotten better now. You can see that they're trying and getting better, but like I can't blame, like I said before, I can't fault them for the way that they act, the way they do things, because that's just how they were raised. That's what they know forever.
And they didn't have the option. Also, they didn't have the option to change it. They didn't have the option to get help that they needed.
They didn't have the technology that we have, that we can go outside and learn different things, and we can be more expressive now than they were. You know, It's just two different. They just raised in two different time periods. So the way we're not saying it's okay what they did, but we understand the situations. We understand the perspective of our parents, and why they do the things they do. Yeah.
Oh, one last thing. I also like sometimes I do be catching myself doing like what to my nieces and nephews, what they did to me. So now I'm trying to like I always like I'm learning to start catching myself whenever like I'm like, oh, okay, I don't care, like acting like I don't care about what they have to show me. And just recently, like my nephew Aaron, or our nephew Aaron, he's very like I was like, what? Because you remember how, like, when we was on the phone, he was talking to you about his drawing, and you was like, you just being so sweet. And he was like, oh, next time I see you, I want a drawing too. So he came. He actually drew me a drawing, and he was like, I thought since Anna said since you said you wanted one, she was like, oh, I made you one too, just in case you want one too. And I was like, oh, he's such a sweetheart. And it was just like the sweetest thing ever. And I'm just like, he came in, he was like, oh, I didn't color it for you, but he bought me crayons and was like, if you want to color it, you can do it. So I was like, okay, I'll do it after I'm done with my assignments. And he came, he took it, colored it for me, and then drew another drawing, and then brought me both of them and was like, which one do you want? And at first, like, the moral of the story is that at first I was like, oh my gosh, why is he back again? Like, he's back. And then I was like, wait, I'm kind of being rude. Like, this kid just did, like, the cutest thing ever, and I'm being, like rude to him. So I had to catch myself. It was like, oh, you're the sweetest. And I had to be grateful for him.
That's why I am very nice and appreciated when kids do things for me, like when my little nieces do things for me, because like I don't want them to just, because I know their parents, they just like to pick on whenever they mess up, so I want to be able to uplift them and praise them and congratulate them, even for the littlest things that they do, just so they feel rewarded, so they can want to be better and do better and want more, So that's why I always try to be very nice and sweet and all that stuff like that. I'm just like you. I catch myself sometimes too, like being a bit mean, a bit harsh, or just a bit like they're just kids, and I have to like remind myself, no, they are little humans and they have feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
So yeah, and to be kind to people and treat them the way that I want to be treated. But because they're little doesn't mean they don't deserve respect. They deserve respect.
Yeah. And I also want them to feel loved. Like,
yeah, feel loved.
I know, like, their parents love them, but like we were talking about earlier, how they don't show it. They always make kids usually tend to feel like they're alone. So I always want to make our nephews and nieces all feel like they have me to lean on, and I love them so much. But yeah. I just wanted to add that little part.
Yeah. Okay, guys. This was a really interesting episode. This was really fun to talk about.
I love this so much.
Me too. There's probably so much more that we can say and dive into and really dissect. But we can sit here for hours, to be honest. But if you guys want a deeper, in-depth conversation, I mean, I don't know how deeper we can get. This is deep, but more like scenarios and more stories of our childhood and little things like that. We can always do another episode on that if that's what you guys are interested in. But for now, this is going to be all for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned some things, took something from this. You can share your own stories down below of toxic things that your parents did and all that good stuff. And just because your parents are toxic doesn't mean like they're bad people. Sometimes people make mistakes, and sometimes people don't really know like how to break out of their own cycle. So
yeah, and sometimes they think that what they're doing is right.
Right, like, that's their norm.
That's normal.
Yeah. Any last words before we leave? You don't have to say anything if you don't have the last word.
Subscribe to my channel.
As you should. Link will be in the bio. Danny Kennedy. Period. She does makeup and tells stories and vlog sometimes. Barely. But makeup girl, as you can see. Please speak. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Well, I'll see you guys in a few days, really, because I'm gonna be posting soon. Watch out for that. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.